Good morning and welcome to TAPP Talk number 54. I nearly said 53. It's 54 and here we are live on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock because this is European Sustainable Development Week, and so we've got some extra shows Saturday and Sunday. And we're live with Brenda Grech from the Cloth Nappy Company. Good morning, Brenda. How are you?
Good morning. Very good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And this morning we are talking about keeping the carbon footprint of baby low from birth. And so let's start with something. When you have a baby, I'm sure I remember, I think it's 22 years ago, the last one. There was a lot of other things to consider, like sleep and all sorts of things like that. So why really is the carbon footprint of a baby important, do you think?
So when you're having a baby, I think one of the first things you start preparing is maybe like the hospital list or the baby list, as we call it. And I just got not one, like a few of never-ending lists of things that I needed for this baby before it's even born.
Right.
And this is a new experience, so you don't really know. Like, you try and apply some common sense and logic to what you might need, and you just immediately start realizing that babies, they sort of punch above their belt, so to speak. So there's these tiny human beings that before they're even born, they need a whole load of things. Unfortunately, most of the things are still made of plastic or things that are hard to biodegrade. So basically, when I was about to have my first one, I tried to logically go through this list and try and minimize the things that I needed to buy. Firstly, obviously, because of the cost implications. And secondly, obviously, as well, because of the environment. So, for example, we didn't buy, say, a baby monitor before she actually moved out of our room. And before we made sure we needed it. And that was the same with a lot of other items. You don't need to buy everything up front. And also, maybe by the time you actually need it, you might know someone who's ready to hand it down or something like this, or find it secondhand, whatever. So a baby's carbon footprint is very high because they just need a lot of additional things that adults don't. Also, for example, when it comes to clothing, babies go through several different sizes in their first year. So basically, brand new clothing doesn't fit anymore. Whereas as adults, we just keep on wearing clothes, until we wear it down. So we get more use out of things, like shoes, and than babies do. So I think it's very important that we don't overdo it with the things we buy for babies. Obviously, try and be as sustainable as possible. So obviously, we are an advocate of cloth nappies. So, for example, instead of opting for disposable nappies, which take over 500 years to decompose, and you're throwing 8 to 10 nappies away every day in the first 3 months life of this baby, you opt for more sustainable items. That's it, basically. And obviously, as young human beings, I feel like it's very important to make this lifestyle and this mental, the attitude towards sustainability. You need to instill this from birth, so that it's easier for them when they grow up, to keep this sustainable mentality alive. Because when something is not instilled in you, we all know it's much harder to implement later on in life. Whereas if this is the way of life and the only thing they've known from birth, then it's easier for them.
So one of one of the things you first pointed out, which of course I'd conveniently forgotten because it's so many years ago, is that bit of the planning process before baby arrives, which is also one of the most enjoyable phases, isn't it? Because there's lots of stuff to think about.
Yeah, it's very
So,
exciting.
right, it's all very exciting and it's
And
all very
you know,
new.
exactly.
And so in that phase, that's when to really think about sustainability and carbon footprint and planning and stuff like that. So I think there were a
Yeah.
couple of things you said. You said, first of all, do you really need it and do you need it now? Maybe you could find it pre-loved at a certain point with some things. And also you mentioned about the nappies. And in fact, when we've done some sort of cross promotions together, what I didn't realise was the amount of plastic used in nappies and generated in those early years is actually huge,
It's
isn't it?
massive.
Do you have an idea of the weight that's generated
I'm sure I
in
did.
waste?
It's not a figure I have on the top of my head, but
Right,
approximately nappies, or disposable nappies rather, they constitute about 9% of household waste when a baby is in nappies.
right.
It is a huge amount of waste, which I'm sure all parents are aware of this as they go through nappy years.
And
So
this is always going to be black bag landfill waste, isn't it? Or
exactly, and
incinerator. It's never going
it's
to be anything else.
no, it's just standing there for 500 years. So basically,
Right,
to make it a bit more easy to understand, the first nappy, the first disposable nappy that was ever used is still there, lying in
right,
a landfill somewhere. Because nappies have only really disposable nappies been around for a few decades. So they're not disposable nappies are the alternative, not the other way around. So
right. I like the way you put that. So the disposable nappy is the alternative, and in fact, your solution is actually very much more cost effective as well, if I remember rightly.
exactly,
There's a huge saving.
this is one of the things I really like about reusable nappies. Whereas with maybe some other green or sustainable products, you might expect to pay a little more. With
Right,
cloth nappies, you're actually saving a lot of money. So on average, you will do with disposable nappies, you will pay around 1,200 euros until a baby is potty trained. Whereas with reusable nappies, you will only pay a fraction of that, like a third, maybe 400, maximum 500 euros if you really want like a big set of nappies to make sure you don't run out. So even with just one baby, you're saving a huge amount of money. And then if you have a second baby, you can reuse all those nappies. So you're making another complete
right.
saving. So
Two for the price of one.
exactly. So I like to say
Wow.
with
Okay.
disposable nappies, you're throwing money down the drain, literally.
Yeah, ah,
Like you don't get anything back. Whereas with reusable nappies, you have an asset essentially, right? And that asset you retain. If you don't need it anymore, you can either sell it or reuse it for another baby. So we even have the pre-loved nappy initiative. So at the end
do
of the
you?
yes, so we
Okay.
obviously sell new nappies as well as pre-loved nappies. But if you buy new nappies from us and say at 2.5 years your baby's potty trained and you're not using the nappies anymore, we buy them back off you. So you really are making another saving. And has,
That's amazing. And is it easy to find that mothers are interested in this?
in the pre-loved nappies.
Aha.
Yes, it's actually, we have a bit of an issue because so the Cloth Nappy Company is 3 years old, and most of our babies are just about getting potty trained. So we don't have many pre-loved nappies available yet, and the demand I get for them like is constant. So as soon as they come up on our website, they're snatched, because there is a big market for pre-loved nappies. There's nothing wrong. Like, you can sanitize the nappies and everything. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. It's like as if you're using them from one baby to the next. It's no different. Just because it was a baby, you don't know.
I think this is a wonderful change, and it's a wonderful initiative. But also, is it a bit like milk bottles that were in glass years ago? Are we bringing something back from many years ago, but in a much better version?
I think so. I haven't really experienced the traditional cloth nappies,
I don't
but
remember them either, by the way. But
I think that's good, because from what I hear, they were hard work.
I think
And
something with metal pins.
exactly, I think the pins were the biggest issue,
Okay.
and the fact that you have to soak them and boil them was another.
Right. Okay.
Um,
So the new versions that you're involved in, are they really quite convenient to use as
So
well?
I have a couple here. Well, I mean, first of all, they look really, really cute. Like, they come in all sorts of prints.
Wow.
And they're just, they're as convenient as disposable. So you just open them up, and inside you have these layers of absorbency. So I don't think, honestly, there's a different learning curve to when you use disposables. With disposables, you still have to learn, to put it higher up their bum, and how to take the frills out. It's the same. You just make sure
Absolutely.
they fit well, and then instead of taking them into the black bin and outside for collection, you take them to your laundry room, and the washing machine is going to deal with all the washing. There's no need for soaking, or because when I said I wanted to use these products, my grandma, she was the first one who said to me, "Oh, it's hard work, you know." um, but
She
then
probably remembers buckets of cold water
exactly
and
on
yeah.
on the burners, and I said, "Nana, if it was that hard, I think I'll be the first one who wouldn't use them." Because we all have busy lives, and I'm sure we don't need to be soaking pieces of material in addition to our daily load. So
So you really just put them in the washing machine, and that's
yes,
done.
I mean,
That's incredible.
when people say, "Oh, am I gonna wash like poo and pee in the washing machine?" It's like, if you go to the gym, or you get your clothes all muddy, you just put them in the washing machine, and that's what it's built for.
Right.
And also the poo in the washing machine. Like, I have quite a few friends that I'm yet to convert to cloth nappies, but every now and again they just send me a picture of an explosion from the disposable nappy, and then I know, of course, like, they don't throw those clothes away; they wash them in the washing machine. So
Right.
they're washing poo in the washing machine anyway.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I like I really like when we first talked. We were doing some sort of cross collaboration together. I saw great synergies between what we do and what you were doing, because it's like a mindset change or a cultural
Yeah,
change. And I find that quite exciting, because we're going back to sort of something that's more traditional, but in a much better format. But the CO2 footprint saving and the waste saving and the plastic saving is huge with a change like
exactly.
this.
And after all, I mean, we are responsible for our planet and our universe. So we don't want our kids to grow up and this issue of plastic and pollution to be even bigger than it already is. So I feel like we are responsible, and we should be held accountable for the future of our daughters and sons. And then when they're old enough, they hopefully would have had a good background to take that on themselves. So, for example, like when I was young, especially my dad was very against waste in our family life, and I feel like that really helped me because it was instilled in me from a young age that I just try and avoid waste of any sort, whether that's food or clothes or unnecessary items to buy. And I owe that to my parents for instilling that in me, because otherwise it would be much harder to make that a part of my life now as an adult.
And what we have got as well is you've got the money saving, you've got the CO2 footprint saving, and you've got the installation of that cultural change from early on. So you've got quite a lot all wrapped up in one change,
One, exactly.
which doesn't seem any less convenient than just throwing them away, because the money saving, if you did see it as a little bit less convenient, the money saving is going to beat that over time. I never realised that you could do pre-loved nappies. That
Yes,
is just
yeah,
so awesome, because that's also circular economy, isn't it?
exactly.
And
And also
zero waste.
it sort of shows, but these products are very durable. They're made to last.
They
So
have that look for sure.
exactly. So I'm using the nappies from my first daughter for my second now, and they're good as new. They're doing a great job. So they're not made to last for one baby only, and then you're expected to buy another set of nappies. I'm experiencing that firsthand now, and I know of people also who are using them on a third baby. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah, my niece actually used them on her first baby, and she's using them on the second. Or she will
yeah,
use them on the second. She's in the middle of that now.
okay,
Yeah, I was quite impressed because I hadn't spoken to her about it until I knew that that's the way they were going. So what was really exciting was to see a younger person. She's 22, 23 or something, and they had that mindset from the very beginning, and that's actually because of because of her parents. Again,
yeah,
was sort of more environmentally conscious
conscious,
than
exactly.
some, and so they started that, and it was nice to see that sort of happen. So, what impact do you think one mother has when one mother makes that change?
Um, so in terms of one mother in the whole world, it sounds like, as we say, a drop in the ocean. But from my experience, when I started with my first daughter, there was hardly only a handful of people use these products, partly because there was no outlet selling these products at the time, and there wasn't much help around the subject. And it started from when I was attending breastfeeding clinic, from when she was only a few days old. Midwives and other mothers or fathers as well. I don't want to make a distinction, because sometimes it is the fathers who want to use them. It's not always the mother. And they're all very interested, because they think it's just a cover to cover the disposable nappy, and then you
Right.
explain. And slowly, especially in Malta, I feel like the things really travel, word by mouth is very, very efficient and effective. So even if you're just one in 100 using cloth nappies, but then you're gonna get in touch and in contact with a lot of other family and friends, and you can just spread the word. And I'm not saying just boring them to death and saying I'm good and you're not, but it's just about sharing your way of living, because that's what it is in the end. You're changing one small thing in your life and embracing it in your lifestyle. And I'm all about that, the little changes that you can sustain, because if you do like all the changes at once, you're probably gonna get overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
you might give up in the process. So I even if people are a bit unsure, we have starter bundles with just three nappies, and you can just experience it on a small level, and then if you want to do it and take it a step further, you can get a few more nappies. So it's about incremental small changes.
Incremental change.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to hear that like education is part of a big part of what you do. Sort of meeting young. I think you do sort of nappy clinics and meet young mums and
yeah, we do.
workshops and stuff like that.
We do workshops.
Uh-huh.
I particularly love the one-to-one consultations, we call them, where I just meet a set of parents on their own, and I could really understand their situation, their concerns, and everything, and then we can really work together to find a solution that fits their needs. And I mean, as a person, I love meeting new people, and I've actually made like quite a lot of new friends, because I'm also a mum with young kids, and it's nice to get in touch with all these other mums going through similar experiences. So yeah, I think I've made a few friends for life through doing this, which is really
Uh-huh.
nice.
And you've impacted a generation, which is interesting, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
the mums that you've helped out when they're grandmums, then that should be passed down, because normally you would go to your mother for some
yeah,
advice at some
yeah,
point, like you did with
yeah.
your nana. Oh no.
Exactly, yeah. Now, hopefully, their experience will be a lot like, oh,
Will be
yeah, that
different.
wasn't difficult at all.
What about health? Are there some health benefits to using an environmentally friendly process like this that also saves money? Is there some health benefits as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've had quite a lot of parents. I mean, we know that babies tend to have more sensitive skin, and some
Right.
babies, can suffer with eczema and other skin conditions. I've had quite a few parents who came and did this change purely because of these reasons, for health reasons. The materials used in cloth nappies, they're like a lot more natural than the plastic disposable nappies. They're made out of cotton, bamboo, hemp, which all have a lot of benefits. Like bamboo is antibacterial, hemp is actually a very sustainable material, since it's essentially a weed and just grows without much care. And they're all breathable, and so the baby's skin tends to be a lot less irritated than when it's encased in plastic. Um, and even though they tend to look a little bit more bulkier than the disposables, um, the fact that they're breathable is essentially as if we dress ourselves in plastic in summer.
Aha.
Imagine how hot we will feel,
Aha.
rather than if we dress in cotton or other light materials. And it's the same. And even the outside shell, it is breathable. So the baby's bum and that whole area is exposed to continuous fresh air. So you will also actually really save money from not using nappy cream.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I know it just sounds like a bit like I'm taking it to an extreme, but it's true.
Aha.
Like I
No,
don't
but the impact's quite big, isn't it? It's like a ripple effect, isn't it? Because then
exactly.
there are
Yeah,
lots of corollary benefits, as it were.
exactly. Yes.
So you've got saving money, they look smart, it's environmentally friendly, and it's healthier.
Yeah. What else do you need?
It's just like that's a pretty good pitch, actually. It's interesting. I'm really grateful you came along and explained this, and also I've learned more because I didn't know you could do the pre-loved versions as well, because you have a range of pre-loved other items as well, don't you?
Yes.
Which is a great
Yes.
way of and saving a lot of production of new things, because as you said with babies, you sometimes don't use things for very long.
Exactly.
So let's show where you can find out more. You can find out more at the clothnappycompany.com, and you can contact Brenda directly on there. And I think you've got the pre-loved things as well as blog articles and education all about it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of information on our website. It's been 3 years in the making. I continuously add information. So there is a nappy advice section, with some of the basics that people generally ask. But then there's also a blog section with a bit more, sort of light-hearted information about personal experiences. Then there's the pre-loved section with nappies. We also have a feminine care section with period products, and now the most recent addition was the pre-loved clothing for babies
Wow.
or for young children.
So especially if you're a couple watching the recording, or a young mum, or even a grandmum with your kids about to have babies, then do contact Brenda at the clothnappycompany.com and maybe have a chat on a one-to-one consultation just to see what these cloth nappies are like.
I'd love to meet you.
Super, that's wonderful. Thank you ever so much for coming to see us on a Sunday morning.
Thank you so much for the invite, Phil.
Yeah, it's great. We've told some really good stories for European Sustainable Development Week, and I think they're all inspiring. And yours is also one of those, because it's making real impact, and that's what we're all about. So thank you very much. Do ask questions and comments. I forgot to say that whilst we were live, but when you're watching the recording, you can ask questions and comments in just below the video on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And what I'll do is I'll play us out with a little bit of music, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much, Brenda.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.